first 25 years of piston heads have been a hot hatch golden age. The early 90s weren't all that inspiring, the future doesn't look all that great either, but 98 to 2023 is crammed with icons. Civic Type Rs, Focus RSs, Renaultsport Megans. Your best hot hatch was always going to be something pretty special.
Yeah, with all that lot to choose from, your winner was guaranteed to be an absolute icon. But you'd voted really, really, really well. Our winner is an absolute gem. It's the GR Yaris.
Oh yeah, that is right, ladies and gentlemen. Just when you thought the hype had died down about Toyota's little pocket rocket, here we are again. Piston head's best hot hatch since 1998. Now I guess for some of you seeing the other cars on the list, maybe this would come as a bit of a surprise. Maybe it's not the car you expected to see at the top. But to those of you who followed the GR Yaris on PH since it was revealed back in January 2020, this will come as no shock at all. It's really struck a chord and captured hearts and minds really like little else. You want proof of that impact? We have got proof of that impact. How about this? When Porsche showed a new GT3 RS to the world, there were 292 comments on PH. When Ferrari showed the Purosangue, we got 385 comments. When Gordon Murray reinvented the McLaren F1, when he made the GMA T50 with a V12 and a manual, there were 978 comments when that car was revealed on PH. Do you want to guess how many comments the GR Yaris got when it was shown? Because you're going to be wrong. You got to guess? 9,948 comments. Honest, 9,000 comments on this little car. There were so many comments, they had to start a whole new forum thread. So yeah, it would be fair to say that this little Yaris is a car we've all really taken to our hearts since 2020, and you drive it again for 2 minutes and it's really not hard to see why. I'm not going to review the car again. Heaven knows everybody has done plenty enough reviews of this car, but it has been awarded best hot hatch since 1998, so we probably should go over a few key aspects of this car. I think the first really important thing to talk about is just how special and specialist this car is. We're used to hot hatches, you know, having a bit more power and slightly firmer suspension and sportier styling, and while that probably sells the best one short, that does kind of sum up the hot hatch, whereas this car is so much more bespoke. It's not really a Yaris at all. Kind of outside it shares lights and mirrors and I think the radio antenna, but otherwise, you know, it's all new. It's crazy that Toyota went to all this effort for a 30k hot hatch. Everything else is only for this car, and that extends underneath as well. It's got a bespoke chassis. The GR Yaris architecture is not shared with any other car, which is just incredible. It's got a version of the standard Yaris's GAB front end, and then the back is borrowed from the Corolla and the CHR. I think it's called GAC, meaning that it can have four-wheel drive. And then the four-wheel drive itself is unique to this car. I still don't really know how it works. I know that you can vary the torque, and that's cool. And I know that it's light. It keeps the car under 1,300 kilos. And I know that making a four-wheel drive system just for one car is a crazy cool investment. Nobody does that nowadays. Now, of course, any great hot hatch has got to have a great engine. You can't give me a good hot hatch out there that doesn't have a great engine, and the Yaris most definitely does. And again, it plays to that bespoke nature. This engine, the G16E GTS, if I've got it right, was unique to this car and has only been shared with the GR Corolla since then. And in the days of part sharing and engines going here, there and everywhere, that's an incredible thing to do. The big news, of course, is it's the most powerful 3-cylinder engine in the world and 261 horsepower from just 1600cc is an incredible achievement. But I think what's most notable for the GR Yaris and for this engine is its character. We're so used to just the same old 4-cylinder turbo feel in hot hatches, especially new hot hatches, whereas this is just unlike anything else and better than everything else, I think, in terms of something you want to use and something you want to derive some enjoyment from. With that specific output, there's not much going on below 3,500 revs. Once you're up above there, it absolutely flies. It really wants to rev around to 7,000 RPM and feels really quick doing it. And sounds quite good. I know it's manipulated. Everything's manipulated, isn't it? But yeah, it's a cool little drummy, revvy, exciting, eager engine, and just another aspect of the GR that has endeared it to so many people over the past few years. And get this, when apparently the only hot hatches that sell are the 5-door automatic ones, the only gearbox option for this 3-door hot hatch is a 6-speed manual, and with short ratios and a great little shift, it's absolutely the perfect match.
And while we're here getting wet and freezing cold, it's worth remembering just how good the GR Yaris is to drive on roads like this. Perfectly suited to Wales despite being developed on the other side of the world. It's small, it's agile, it's light, it can deal with bumps and direction changes without worrying about a mode change, and 4-wheel drive means even the worst Welsh weather is no impediment to fun. Here, now, there's not much, if anything, that'd be more entertaining.
On PH, we've called the GR Yaris the Special Stage Super Mini, and I think that's really important because this car brings to mind Imprezas and Evos of days gone by, and I think that chimes really nicely with PH 25 and our 25th anniversary, because it was the late 90s and the early 2000s when Imprezas and Evos just revolutionised performance motoring in the UK, and this channels that spirit absolutely perfectly, because let's be honest, they, like this car, were humdrum Japanese vehicles made into these B-road warriors by the demands of rallying. They had crazy specific output turbo engines, they had these great manual gearboxes, they had trick 4-wheel drive systems, they had pretty crappy interiors, they had kind of affordable pricing, and here we are again with exactly the same sort of thing. And just when it seemed that the rally rep was done, when 4-wheel drive hot hatches would get no more interesting than a Golf R, here came the Yaris and just redefined expectations as those old cars did all those years ago. It's undoubtedly a very worthy winner of your best hot hatch ever vote. Bravo, Toyota.
However, we do have a little teeny tiny postscript. See, unsurprisingly, this whole best hot hatch since 1998 thing was a close run affair, with 5 manufacturers in the top 7 positions and a top 2 separated by just 152 votes. Bear in mind, 10,000 of you took part. That's how close it was. And wouldn't you know, chasing the Yaris all the way was the car voted by you in 2019 as Hot Hatch of the Century, the Renaultsport Clio 182 trophy.
That's right, way back at the end of 2019 when Super Duper Boris had his super duper majority and COVID was just that thing that was going to stay in China, this was your hot hatch of choice. And it goes to show, I think, just how revered the Clio trophy is, that it still ranks so highly later on, given so few were made. But on the other hand, it really does demonstrate just what an impact the Yaris has had in 3 short years. December 2019, when we last did a vote, the Yaris didn't exist, and then it did, and it's just swept all comers aside, including this car, it should be said. Moreover, if that Toyota is the rally replica in a new shape, then this is the hot hatch archetype to a T. You know, we've got big barrel-chested 2-litre 16 valve up front, there's a manual gearbox in the middle, We've got me in here with loads of glass and loads of room and a propensity to lift off oversteer back there that I'm not going to do right now because this is not my car, and really not much else to it, because what more do you need in a hot hatch? I got big engine, I got big fun, I've got big attitude. It's just, that's it, isn't it? But of course, for the trophy, there was one very notable bit of equipment added on, and that was those Sachs remote reservoir dampers. And it's still, to this day, is a staggering inclusion, because they cost 10 times what a regular damper would cost in a Clio, in a run-out special of a Clio that Renaultsport were only going to make 500 of and charge less than 16 grand for, and they still put these dampers in. It's incredible. And of course, as always happens with expensive dampers, they have a transformative effect on the driving experience, because it's still standard 182 under there. You've still got this rascally, effervescent, fizzy character to it, but there's composure and control and finesse that you get when you put really pricey dampers on a car. It's quite the combination, a really beguiling pair of talents to have together, because you don't have one at the detriment of the other. It feels like an old school hot hatch in the way it changes direction, but there's real, control and purpose and poise to it as well. It's, clever. I like it very much. Remember, the trophy was only for the UK. There were 500 cars made for the UK, and then rumour has it the Swiss kicked off and the Swiss got their 50 cars, but this is a car for the UK because we loved Clios, and it doesn't take long driving a great Clio in a really miserable set of conditions in the UK to remember why we love these so much. It works, it's small and fizzy and fast and just so much fun. Thanks, Renaultsport. Thanks for doing this, even if it was 18 years ago now. 18 years. The Clio 2 launched in 1998. All the good things launched in 1998. And this was the run-out special, and what a way to do it, because nobody really knew. Nobody, if you weren't interested in hot hatches, would know it would just look like another red Clio, whereas if you know that it's got these incredible dampers underneath it, and it's a real icon of a car. So that's it then, the handing over of the hot hatch torch. The Clio was your best hot hatch, brimming with old school cool and raw fun. Now, by the slimmest of margins, this Yaris is number one, the turbo triple tearaway that proves the Japanese fast car is alive and well. Both are worthy icons, and today has been an absolute treat. I can't wait to see what's best next time you vote. Anything as good as these two will be brilliant. I am Gilles Panizzi. Oh yeah, get a load of that. Wom.